The Evergreen was not a warship. It was a colony vessel, slow and heavy, carrying 3,000 humans across the stars to build a new home. It had no weapons worth mentioning. It had no shields that could stop military fire. It was full of families, scientists, farmers, and children who had never seen Earth and probably never would. Commander watched the human ship on her display screen and felt nothing but boredom. Her strike force had 6 warships. The humans had 1 unarmed transport. This would not be a battle, it would be a harvest. The Empire had ruled 12 star systems for 800 years. They were predators, tall and strong, with gray skin and eyes that could see in complete darkness. They had conquered dozens of species, some they kept as slaves, others they simply destroyed. Humans were new to them, small, soft, weak, had read the reports. Humans came from a small blue planet far away. They had only recently learned to travel between stars. They were no threat to anyone. "Open a channel," ordered. Her communications officer obeyed. A moment later, a human face appeared on the screen. A man middle-aged with tired eyes. Behind him could see other humans running, shouting, panicking. "This is Commander of the Empire," she said. "You have entered our territory without permission. Surrender your vessel and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your destruction." The human man stared at her. His voice was calm when he spoke. "This is Captain Park of the colony ship Evergreen. We did not know this was your territory. Our navigation systems failed. We are not military. We have families on board. Children, please let us pass. We will leave immediately." Considered this, she did not care about their explanations. The Alpha Prime the Great had given clear orders. Any ship entering space without permission was to be captured. The crew would become slaves. The cargo would become property of the Empire. "You will surrender," said. "This is not a negotiation." Captain Park looked at her for a long moment, then something changed in his eyes. The fear was still there, but something else grew beside it, something hard. "There are children on this ship," he said again, slower this time. "If you attack us, they will die. Then surrender." The human shook his head. "Give us 1 hour. Let us put the children in escape shuttles. Let them go. Take us, take the ship, but let the children live." Almost laughed. What a strange species. They bargained for their young as if they had anything to offer. She looked at her tactical display. The human ship was completely surrounded. There was nowhere for anyone to escape. "You have no power here," she told the human. "Surrender now or I will open fire." Captain Park closed his eyes. When he opened them, his fear was gone. Only the hard thing remained. "Then God forgive you," he said, "because we will not." The transmission ended, gave the order to attack. What happened next surprised her. The human ship could not fight back. Everyone knew this, but the humans fought anyway. They fired their tiny weapons at warships. They launched shuttles directly at fighters, crashing into them on purpose. They did everything wrong, everything stupid, everything desperate. And while they did this, something else was happening. In the cargo bay of the Evergreen, the children were being loaded into mining shuttles. Old shuttles meant for moving rocks, not people, but they could fly, they could run. A woman named Myra led the evacuation. She was the colony's teacher, responsible for all the children on the ship. She had been teaching a class on mathematics when the attack began. Now she was pushing crying children into shuttles, counting heads, screaming at teenagers to help the little ones. "Move faster," she shouted, "everyone into the shuttles now." A boy named helped her. He was 17, tall for his age, quiet and serious. His father was on the bridge with Captain Park. His mother had died years ago. He had no siblings. But right now, he was carrying a 6-year-old girl in his arms, running toward the nearest shuttle. "How many more?" he asked Myra. 23, hurry." The ship shook, metals screamed. Somewhere above them, they were cutting through the hull. They were coming. A girl named ran past them, pulling 2 small boys behind her. She was 16, the daughter of the chief engineer. Her father had taught her everything about machines. Right now, she was thinking about engine ignition sequences and launch protocols. Right now, she was doing math in her head. "Shuttle 3 is full," she shouted. "Launch it." Myra hesitated. "We are not all inside yet." "Launch it or they will destroy it on the ground. Launch now." Myra hit the launch button. Shuttle 3 fired its engines and shot out of the cargo bay into the darkness of space. The fighters saw it. They moved to intercept. But the human adults were still fighting. A group of men and women in the engineering section had rigged the ship's reactor to overload. They were going to blow up their own ship. They were going to take as many with them as they could. And they were buying time, seconds, minutes, just enough. 3 more shuttles launched, then 2 more. They fired at them, but the shuttles were small and fast, and the humans were creating chaos. Explosions everywhere, debris everywhere. In the confusion, some shuttles escaped. Not all of them. watched from the window of his shuttle as the Evergreen exploded, a ball of fire in the cold darkness of space. His father was on that ship, his father was dead. He did not cry, he could not cry. There were children around him, looking at him, waiting for him to tell them what to do. He was the oldest one in this shuttle. He was responsible now. Everyone sit down, he said. His voice did not shake. Hold on to something, we are going to land. The shuttle's navigation system was damaged, but was there working on the controls, trying to find somewhere to go. She found a moon nearby. 5, the display said, a mining facility, abandoned. We can land there, she said, maybe. Do it. Behind them, the warships gathered around the wreckage of the Evergreen. Commander watched the escape shuttles on her sensors. Some had been destroyed, some had been captured, but a few had made it to the moon below. She reported to the Alpha Prime the Great. He was a massive, twice the size of a normal male with scars covering his face and arms. He ruled the Empire with absolute power. His word was law. The adults are dead or captured, told him, but some of the young ones escaped to 5. Looked at the moon on his display, a worthless rock, abandoned mines, no value. How many young ones, he asked. Our sensors show approximately 50, all children or adolescents. Considered this for a moment, then he shrugged. Leave them, he said. They are prey without their pack. The moon is cold. There is no food. They will die within the lunar cycle. It is not worth the fuel to retrieve them. And if they survive? Laughed. It was a terrible sound. They are children, he said. Human children. What could they possibly become? He turned away and forgot about them. This was his first mistake. On the surface of 5, the shuttles crashed one by one. 47 children and teenagers climbed out of the wreckage into the cold, thin air of a dead moon. They were alone, they were afraid. They had just watched their parents die. Stood in front of them looking at the gray sky, the empty rocks, the abandoned buildings in the distance. Beside him was already thinking about survival. Food, water, heat. A small boy, maybe 12 years old, walked up to them. His name was, he was crying. What do we do now? He asked. Looked at him, then he looked at all the children, all the faces waiting for an answer. We survived, he said, we remember, and one day we make them pay. The wind howled across the dead moon. The children huddled together for warmth. Far above them, the warships turned and flew away, leaving them to die. But humans do not die easily. And humans never forget. The first night on 5 was the worst. The temperature dropped so low that the children could see their breath freezing in the air. They huddled together in one of the crashed shuttles, 47 bodies pressed against each other, trying to share warmth. 3 of the youngest did not wake up in the morning. Their bodies were too weak. Their injuries from the crash were too severe. They died in their sleep, cold and quiet. Carried them outside himself. He did not let the other children help. He dug graves in the frozen ground with his bare hands until his fingers bled, tried to stop him, but he would not listen. They deserve to be buried, he said. They deserve that much. When it was done, he stood in front of the 44 children who remained. His hands were wrapped in torn cloth. His face was empty. We need shelter, he said. We need food, we need heat. Who knows anything about any of these things? For a moment no one spoke, then raised her hand. My father was an engineer, she said. He taught me I can fix machines. Maybe I can make the old buildings work again. Nodded. Good. Who else? A girl named stepped forward. She was 14, small and thin. I helped in the medical bay on the ship. I know first aid. Good. One by one the children spoke. A boy who knew how to cook, a girl who had studied plants and growing things, a teenager who was good with computers. Everyone had something, everyone could help. That first week they moved into the abandoned mining complex. It was old and broken, full of dust and silence. But the walls were thick and the roof was solid and there were machines everywhere, machines that could be fixed. Worked day and night. She took apart old heating units and put them back together. She connected wires and cleaned filters and learned how everything worked by breaking it first. By the end of the week they had heat, warm air blowing through the old vents. The children cried with relief. But 2 more died that week. Their injuries were too serious. Did everything she could, but she was 14 years old with no real medicine and no real tools. She could not save everyone. 42 children remained. Organized everything. He divided the children into groups, scavengers to search the complex for useful things, builders to repair walls and doors, farmers to figure out how to grow food in the underground levels where there was still water and old growing lights. Everyone had a job, everyone had a purpose. At night the younger children cried for their parents, sat with them, he told them stories. He promised them that things would get better. He did not know if it was true, but he said it anyway because they needed to hear it. Found the food stores in the third week. Emergency rations left behind by the miners who had abandoned this place long ago. The food was strange and tasted wrong, but it was nutrition. It would keep them alive. This will last maybe 6 months, she told. After that, we need to grow our own food. Then we have 6 months to learn how to farm. They learned. Months passed, the children changed. They stopped crying so much. They stopped looking at the sky, hoping for rescue that would never come. They focused on today, on tomorrow, on the next problem that needed solving. The small 12-year-old boy who had asked what they should do on that first day became one of the most important people in the group. He found the fabrication units in the deep levels of the complex. Old machines, covered in dust, designed to build tools and parts for the miners. These can make anything, he told, his eyes wide with excitement. We just need materials and designs. Studied the machines for weeks. She figured out how they worked. She started making simple things. Tools, containers, replacement parts for broken systems, then more complex things, better heating units, water purifiers, medical equipment. A year passed, then 2 years. The children grew taller, stronger, harder. Started training the older ones to fight. He did not know much about combat, but he remembered things. Stories his father told him about soldiers on Earth. History lessons about warriors from ancient Korea who had fought centuries ago. He taught what he remembered. He made up the rest. We are not safe here, he told them during training. They could come back at any time. We need to be ready. Discovered the military archives in the 4th year. They had left behind old computer systems, and inside those systems was information. Weapons designs, armor specifications, vehicle plans, battle strategies. They left everything here, she said to Amazed. Everything we need to fight them. Can you build these weapons? Looked at the designs, they were complex, alien, different from anything humans had ever made. Not yet, she said, but I can learn. She learned. The children stopped calling themselves survivors. They started calling themselves the pack. Was their leader quiet and steady? Was their engineer clever and tireless? Was their healer gentle but strong? Was their builder always finding new ways to make old machines work? 5 years passed. The youngest children were now teenagers. The teenagers were now adults. They had muscles from hard work and hard training. They had scars from accidents and fights with the dangerous creatures that lived in the deeper tunnels. They had eyes that did not look away from anything. And they had weapons. Had spent years building them. Rifles modified to fit human hands. Armor reshaped to fit human bodies. Human ideas mixed with alien technology, creating something new, something better. In the 6th year, gathered the pack together in the main hall of the complex. 41 of them now. 1 more had died in a tunnel collapse. They remembered her name. They remembered all of them. They left us here to die, said. They killed our parents. They burned our ship. They called us prey. He paused. The pack watched him in silence. We are not prey, he continued. We have survived. We have grown strong. We have built weapons and armor and machines. We have become something they did not expect. He held up a rifle, design, human modifications, deadly. One day they will come back to this moon, maybe to mine it, maybe to check if we are dead. When they come, we will be waiting. And we will show them what happens when you leave cubs unattended. The pack raised their fists. They did not cheer, they did not shout, they were not children anymore. They were soldiers, they were wolves. In the 7th year, finished her greatest project, a suit of armor built from materials and human engineering. Black as the space between stars, strong enough to stop any weapon, light enough to move fast. She gave it to, on the chest, she had written names. All the names of the humans who had died on the Evergreen, all the names of the children who had died on 5, all the names they carried with them. Put on the armor and looked at himself in the reflection of a metal wall. He barely recognized the man looking back at him, 24 years old, hard face, hard eyes, a weapon in his hands and the names of the dead on his chest. When they come, he said softly, we will be ready. 3 days later, they came. A surveyor ship appeared in the sky above 5. It landed near the old mining complex. 6 soldiers stepped out, expecting to find dust and bones. They found neither. They found the pack. And the pack had been waiting a very long time. The 6 soldiers never knew what killed them. They walked into the mining complex expecting silence. They found silence. Then they found death. The first soldier fell to a shot from the darkness. Perfect aim, perfect silence. The weapon made no sound because had designed it that way. The dropped without a cry. The second soldier turned toward his fallen friend. A blade came from the shadows and opened his throat. moved like water, fast and quiet, already disappearing before the body hit the ground. The remaining 4 tried to form a defensive circle. They were trained warriors, they had fought in a dozen campaigns, but they had never faced anything like this. Their enemy was everywhere and nowhere. Shots came from multiple directions, traps triggered under their feet, the lights flickered and died, leaving them blind while their hunters could see perfectly through night vision masks. It took 4 minutes. When it was over, 6 soldiers lay dead in the dust. Emerged from his hiding spot, a rifle still warm in his hands. He was 19 now, no longer the crying child who had asked what they should do. He looked at the bodies without emotion. "That was easy," he said. Shook his head. "That was 6, more will come, many more." He was right. When the survey team did not report back, the command sent a distress signal. A larger team was dispatched, 12 soldiers this time with heavier weapons and better armor. They found the first team. The bodies had been arranged in a perfect line in front of the mining complex entrance. Their weapons and armor were gone, stripped clean. And in the dust before them, written in crude but clear script, was a message: "The Cubs remember." The second team reported this to their commanders, then their transmission ended mid-sentence. They were found 2 days later by the third team, 20 soldiers this time. They found the bodies of the second team hanging from metal poles near the entrance. More words in the dust: "We are still here." The third team proceeded with extreme caution. They used thermal sensors, they checked every corner, they moved in perfect formation, it did not matter. The pack had spent 7 years learning these tunnels. Every passage, every room, every shadow, they knew where to hide, they knew where to strike, they knew how to disappear. This battle lasted longer, hours instead of minutes, but the result was the same. When the sun set on 5, 20 more were dead. Word reached Commander. She remembered the human ship. She remembered the escape shuttles. She remembered telling the Alpha Prime about the children who had escaped to the moon. Children, that was what they had called them, prey without their pack. "How many hostiles are confirmed on the moon?" she asked her intelligence officer. "Unknown, Commander. Estimates suggest between 30 and 50. 50 humans have killed 38 of our soldiers." "Yes, Commander." Closed her eyes, she thought about the human captain who had begged for time to save the children. She thought about the hardness in his eyes when she refused. She had thought it was desperation. Now she wondered if it was something else. "I will go myself," she said. "Prepare 50 soldiers, full combat equipment." She landed on 5 at dawn. The mining complex looked peaceful in the gray light, just old buildings and empty machines. But knew better now, she knew death was waiting inside. "Advance slowly," she ordered. "Check every shadow, trust nothing." They entered the complex through the main entrance. The halls were empty, silent, their footsteps echoed on the metal floors. Then the lights went out. Chaos followed. The humans attacked from everywhere at once. From above, from below, from inside walls and behind doors that should not have opened. They moved in perfect coordination, striking and retreating, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted. Saw one of them clearly for just a moment. A figure in black armor moving through the darkness like a ghost. The armor was designed but wrong somehow. Modified, improved. On the chest she saw writing, human writing, names she realized, dozens of names. The figure raised a weapon and fired. 3 of her soldiers fell. Retreated, she called for her soldiers to fall back. They were being slaughtered in these tunnels. They needed open ground, they needed room to fight. But the humans would not let them leave easily. Every corridor became a death trap, every intersection an ambush point. By the time reached the surface, she had lost half her soldiers. She stood in the pale sunlight, breathing hard, her weapon raised. The mining complex loomed behind her like a silent tomb. A figure emerged from the main entrance, a young human male in black armor. He walked slowly, calmly, as if he had all the time in the world. He stopped 20 meters away and looked at her. "Commander," he said, his was accented but clear. "I remember you. I watched you on the screen when you ordered the attack on our ship. I watched you refuse to let the children escape." Raised her weapons. "Who are you?" "My name is, my father was on the bridge of the Evergreen. He died when you destroyed our ship. I was 17 years old." "You survived." "We all survived," gestured at the mining complex. Around him, more figures emerged. Humans in black armor carrying weapons standing in perfect formation, counted them quickly, 41. 41 humans, they had killed half her soldiers. They looked at her with eyes that held no fear, no mercy, nothing but cold determination. "You should leave," said. "Take your surviving soldiers and go. Tell your Alpha Prime what you found here. Tell him the Cubs have grown up. Tell him we remember everything." "Wanted to fight?" Every instinct screamed at her to attack to destroy these insolent creatures who had killed so many warriors, but she looked at her remaining soldiers, 25 left from 50, wounded, frightened, beaten. "This is not over," she said. "No," agreed, "it is just beginning." Ordered her soldiers to retreat. They loaded into their shuttles and flew away from 5, leaving the humans standing in front of the mining complex watching them go. When reported to the Alpha Prime, laughed again, but this time his laughter was different. There was something underneath it, something that might have been uncertainty. 50 soldiers lost to children, he said. Impossible. They are not children anymore, Alpha Prime. They are something else. They fight like nothing I have ever seen. They are silent, organized, merciless. They are prey, insisted. They are still prey. With respect, Alpha Prime, prey does not kill 38 warriors in 3 days. Prey does not write messages in our language. Prey does not send commanders running back to their ships. Stood from his throne, he was massive, terrifying, the most powerful alive. He had conquered worlds. He had destroyed armies. He would not be frightened by humans. Send a warship, he commanded. Send the destroyer. Glass that moon, turn those creatures to ash. Bode as you command, Alpha Primes. She left the throne room and prepared the orders, but in her heart she felt something strange, something she had not felt in years. Fear. Not for herself, not for the Empire. Fear for what they had created by leaving those children to die. Because had seen the look in his eyes, she had seen the names written on his armor, she had seen the way the pack moved and fought and killed. They were not looking for survival anymore. They were looking for revenge. And revenge, knew, was the most dangerous thing in the universe. The destroyer arrived at 5-3 days after Commander's retreat. It was the largest warship in the fleet, carrying 500 soldiers and enough weapons to burn a planet to glass. Captain Goral commanded it from his bridge, looking down at the gray moon with contempt. Scan for life signs, he ordered. His sensors operator worked for a moment. Nothing on the surface, Captain. The mining complex appears abandoned. Goral smiled. Good, the humans had seen the warship coming. They had probably fled underground like the vermin they were. It would not save them. Prepare the bombardment, he said. We will burn their tunnels, we will collapse their hiding places, we will leave nothing alive. But before he could give the order, something strange happened. His sensors showed movement, not on the surface, in space, small objects rising from the moon's surface climbing toward his ship. What is that? Goral demanded. Unknown contacts, Captain, 8 of them, small craft, they appear to be mining shuttles. Goral laughed. They are attacking us with mining shuttles. Order the fighters to intercept, destroy them all. 20 fighters launched from the destroyer. They moved toward the rising shuttles, weapons hot, ready to obliterate the foolish humans who thought they could challenge a warship. The shuttles did not try to run. They did not try to fight. They simply flew straight at the fighters, faster than mining shuttles should be able to move. Too fast. Captain, the sensors operator shouted. The shuttles are rigged with explosives, they are. The first shuttle hit a fighter and detonated. The explosion took out 3 nearby fighters as well. More shuttles followed, each one a missile, each one piloted by nothing but a simple computer program that had written in one night. When the explosion stopped, 14 fighters were destroyed. The remaining 6 tried to regroup, confused and frightened. Then the real attack began. From behind the moon, hidden until this moment, came a different kind of ship. 8 of them, small and fast, built from salvage technology and human engineering. Led them in the first fighter, his hands steady on the controls, his eyes locked on the targets ahead. All fighters engage, he said calmly. The battle in space lasted 12 minutes. The surviving fighters were destroyed in the first 3. Then squadron turned toward the destroyer itself, diving toward its engines, weapons blazing. Captain Goral watched in disbelief. This was impossible. Humans could not build fighters. Humans could not fly like this. Humans were prey. Return fire, he screamed. Destroy those ships. The destroyer's guns turned toward the human fighters. They fired thousands of shots into the darkness. But the human ships were small and fast, and the pilots knew every weakness of targeting systems. They had studied the archives. They had trained for this. Ship took a hit but kept flying. Another human fighter was destroyed, its pilot dying in a flash of fire. But the others pressed on, diving toward the destroyer's massive engines. Then they fired. The explosives were special, had designed them over 3 years, testing and refining until they were perfect. They punched through the destroyer's armor like paper. They reached the engine core. They detonated. The destroyer shuddered. Alarms screamed across the bridge. Captain Goral grabbed his command chair as the ship began to tilt, its engines dying, its power failing. "Impossible," he whispered. But it was only beginnings. On the surface of 5, the main doors of the mining complex opened. Walked out first, wearing his black armor with the names of the dead. Behind him came the rest of the pack. 40 warriors in armor, carrying weapons, marching in perfect formation. The destroyer was falling toward the moon now, out of control, its crew panicking. Escape pods launched from its sides like seeds from a dying flower. Shuttles fled in every direction. Some reached the surface, some crashed, some tried to escape into space. Remaining fighters caught the ones trying to escape. The pack dealt with the ones who landed. The battle on the ground was brutal. The who survived the crash landings formed defensive positions, hundreds of soldiers with heavy weapons. They thought they could hold. They were wrongs. Led the attack personally. He moved through the lines like death itself, silent and unstoppable. 7 years of training, 7 years of anger, 7 years of waiting for this moment. A soldier fired at him, dodged, closed the distance, and killed him with a blade to the throat. Another attacked from behind, shot him before he could strike. They fought as a pack, as a family, each one knowing exactly where the others were, each one protecting the others' backs, each one fighting for the dead who could not fight for themselves. Captain Goral's escape pod crashed near the mining complex. He climbed out, weapon in hand, ready to fight, but his leg was broken, he could barely stand. "Found him." Goral raised his weapon but was faster. He knocked the gun away and pinned the captain to the ground. "You came to burn our home," said quietly. "You came to kill the children the Empire abandoned." "You are prey," Goral spat. "You will always be prey." Looked at him, then he looked up at the sky, where the destroyer was breaking apart as it fell, burning across the gray heavens like a dying star. "Tell that to your ship," he said. He did not kill Goral. Instead, he tied the captain's hands and left him for the others to find. There would be prisoners today, there would be witnesses. The Empire needed to know exactly what had happened here. The battle ended at sunset. The destroyer had crashed into the far side of the moon, a mountain of burning metal. 300 soldiers were dead. 200 more were captured, tied together in long lines, staring at their human captors in disbelief. The pack had lost 4 of their own. 4 humans who had survived the Evergreen, survived 7 years on this moon, survived everything, only to die on the day of their victory. Spoke each of their names aloud and added them to the list on his armor. 37 now. 37 left from the 47 who had crashed on this moon so long ago. That night worked on the destroyer's communications array. It was damaged but not destroyed. She repaired it through the night, replacing broken parts, reconnecting severed wires until finally it came alive. "What are you doing?" asked. "Sending a message," she said. "The whole Empire will hear it, every species they have conquered, everyone." She activated the broadcast and handed him the communicator. "It's ready." Stood before the camera. Behind him, the burning wreckage of the destroyer lit the sky. Around him stood the pack, silent and proud. He spoke. "This message is for the Empire, for the Alpha Prime, for Commander, for everyone who watched the Evergreen burn and did nothing to help." He paused. "My name is 7 years ago you killed our parents, you burned our ship. You left 47 children on a dead moon to die, you called us prey." He lifted his weapon, the fire behind him grew brighter. "We are not prey, we survived, we grew strong. We learned your weapons, we learned your tactics, we learned your weaknesses. And today we destroyed your greatest warship with shuttles and fighters we built ourselves." He looked directly into the camera. "We are not hiding anymore. We are not running anymore. We are coming. We will find every who murdered our families. We will tear down every wall of your empire. We will not stop until the last of you answers for what you did." He gave the coordinates, not of 5, of the. "This is where we are going," he said. "This is where it ends. Prepare yourselves." The transmission ended. The message flew across the stars, touching every corner of the Empire, reaching every species they had conquered. And on a dozen worlds in 100 cities, the conquered species heard the message. They saw the burning warship. They saw the humans standing tall in stolen armor. They heard the words. "We are coming." Something changed in the galaxy that night, something that could not be undone, that had ruled through fear for 800 years, but now there was something else, something new. Hope. And hope, as they were about to learn, was far more dangerous than fear. The message spread like fire through dry grass. Every corner of the Empire heard it, every conquered species watched it. A group of human children abandoned to die had destroyed the greatest warship in the fleet. They had challenged the Alpha Prime himself. They had declared war. On Prime, Alpha Prime watched the recording in his throne room. His advisors stood around him, silent and afraid. No one wanted to speak first. Watch the human leader speak. He watched the warship burn behind him. He watched the soldiers in black armor standing tall and unbroken. When the message ended, crushed the display screen in his fist. "Find them," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Find them and bring them to me. I will tear them apart with my own hands." But finding them was not so easy. The humans had fled 5 after sending the message. They took their captured warship, repaired Bai and her team, and disappeared into the darkness between stars. They sent scout ships to every system. They found nothing. Meanwhile, the message continued to spread. On 3, a mining world where they worked thousands of slaves to death every year, the workers began to whisper. They shared the recording in secret. They spoke the words to each other. "We are not prey." On Prime, a world of scientists and builders conquered a century ago. The resistance movement that had been dying for decades suddenly found new life. Young people who had never known freedom watched the burning warship and felt something stir in their hearts. On 12 worlds across the Empire, the same thing happened. The conquered species saw humans standing up to the and winning. They saw that it was possible. They saw that the Empire could be hurt. Rebellions began. Small ones at first, a protest here, a sabotaged factory there, soldiers ambushed in dark alleys, but they grew. Every day they grew. Commander watched the reports come in. She understood what was happening. The humans had not just destroyed a warship. They had shattered something far more important. They had shattered the belief that they could not be defeated. She requested an audience with the Alpha Prime. "The rebellion is spreading," she told. "Every world we conquered is rising against us. Our forces are stretched thin trying to maintain control. The humans have done more damage with one message than any army could have done with weapons." "Then find them," roared. "Destroy them, show the galaxy that we are still strong." "We are trying, Alpha Prime, but they are clever, they hide, they strike and disappear. They are not fighting like any enemy we have faced before." Grabbed by the throat and lifted her off the ground. "You were the one who let them escape. You were the one who told me they would die on that moon. This is your failure." Could not breathe, but she did not look away. "Yes, Alpha Prime, it is my failure and I will fix it." Dropped her, she fell to the floor, gasping. "You have one cycle," he said. "Find the humans, destroy them, or I will destroy you." Bowed and left. She did not find the humans in one cycle. She did not find them in 10, because the humans were not hiding. They were hunting. Had a plan, it was simple. The Empire was too big to attack directly, but empires were made of parts. Destroy enough parts and the whole thing falls apart. They started with supply ships, convoys carrying food and weapons to the front lines. The pack would appear from nowhere, strike fast, and vanish before help could arrive. They took what they needed and destroyed the rest. Then they moved to communication stations. They relied on a network of relay points to coordinate their forces. The pack attacked these points one by one, cutting the Empire's ability to communicate. Then they started something new. They began leaving survivors. Not out of mercy, out of strategy. Every soldier they spared was sent back to the Empire with the same message. "The pack is coming. We remember everything. Tell your Alpha Prime to prepare." The psychological effect was devastating. Soldiers began to fear the darkness. They saw humans in every shadow. They heard footsteps in empty corridors. Some refused to fight. Some deserted. Some went mad. Worked constantly during this time. She improved their weapons. She upgraded their armor. She built new fighters from captured parts. Every battle made them stronger. Who had been their healer for 7 years became something else. She learned to fight because she had to. She learned to kill because there was no choice. But at night, she still treated the wounded with gentle hands. She still remembered what it felt like to be human. Became their best pilot. He led every space battle, flying his fighter like it was part of his body. He never lost a fight, he never hesitated. But sometimes, late at night, he would sit alone and look at the stars and think about the boy he used to be, the crying child who had asked what they should do. He knew the answer now. Months passed, the pack grew stronger, the Empire grew weaker, rebellions consumed entire systems, they were losing control. Finally made a decision. If the humans wanted to come to he would let them. He would gather his entire remaining fleet in orbit around Prime. He would wait for them. And when they came, he would crush them so completely that no one would ever dare challenge the Empire again. The trap was set. Knew it was a trap, told him the odds. 1 human warship against 200 vessels, 37 fighters against thousands, it was suicide. "We cannot win this battle," said. "I know," replied. "Then why are we going?" Looked at her, they had grown up together on that frozen moon. They had built an army from nothing. They had fought side by side for years. He trusted her more than anyone. Because we are not fighting alone anymore. He showed her the messages. They had been coming for weeks, hidden in encrypted channels, passed from system to system by the rebellion networks. The miners were sending ships. The scientists were sending ships. A dozen species that they had conquered were sending ships. They were old ships, damaged ships, ships that should not still fly, but they were coming. When we reach Prime said, we will not be 37 humans in one warship, we will be an armada. Every species they ever hurt, every world they ever burned, every child they ever orphaned, they will all be there. Stared at the messages, hundreds of them, thousands. They believe in us, she said softly. They believe in hope, we gave them that, now we have to finish what we started. The pack gathered for the final time before the battle. 37 humans in black armor, standing in the cargo bay of their captured warship, stood before them. We have been fighting for 7 years, he said. We have lost friends, we have lost family, we have given everything to reach this moment. He looked at each of them, who had kept them alive with her genius, who had become a warrior despite starting as a scared boy, who had healed their bodies and their hearts, and all the others, every single one of them who had survived and grown and fought. Tomorrow we fly to Prime, tomorrow we face the Alpha Prime himself. Some of us will die, maybe all of us, but if we fall fighting, we fall free, we fall human. He raised his fist. We are the pack, we are the children they abandoned, we are the cubs who came back, and tomorrow we march. The pack raised their fists, their voices filled the ship. We march. The engines ignited, the warship turned toward Prime. Behind it, appearing from hidden places across a dozen systems, came more ships, hundreds of them, then thousands. An armada of the forgotten, an armada of the conquered, an armada of hope. Commander watched them come from the bridge of her own ship. She saw the human warship at the front leading the charge. She saw the fleet behind it, growing larger every minute as more ships arrived. She understood now, the humans had never planned to fight alone. They had planned to inspire. They had planned to unite every enemy they had ever made into a single force. And they had succeeded. Closed her eyes, she thought about the human captain who had begged her to let the children escape. She thought about the choice she had made. She thought about everything that had followed. Then she opened her eyes and gave a single order. Stand down. Her crew stared at her. Commanders. Stand down, do not fire, open a channel to the human warship. Moments later, his face appeared on her screen. He looked older than before. Harder, but there was something in his eyes that she recognized, not hatred, not rage, something else. Purpose. Commander, he said. I am surrendering my ship, she said, and I am transmitting the Alpha Prime's location. He is in his throne room, his guards are at half strength, most of the fleet has already deserted. Was silent for a moment. Why? Thought about the question, she thought about the answer. Because you were right, she said finally. You are not prey, you never were, and I am tired of serving a master who cannot see that. The transmission ended. Turn to the pack. Land the ship, he said, we are going to end this. They marched through the streets of Prime, 37 humans in black armor, an army of freed slaves and rebels behind them. The who saw them fled or knelt in surrender. No one tried to stop them. They reached the palace, they climbed the steps, they entered the throne room. Sat on his throne alone, his guards were gone, his empire was falling, he was the last. He looked at, and for the first time, the Alpha Prime felt fear. What do you want? He asked. Stopped in front of the throne, he looked at the creature who had ordered his parents' death, who had left 47 children to die, who had called them prey. I want you to remember, said. I want you to remember that you did this to yourself. You could have let us go, you could have shown mercy, but you chose cruelty, you chose abandonment, you chose to underestimate us. He reached up and touched the names on his armor. These are the people you killed, every single one. I carry them with me everywhere I go, I will carry them forever. His hands shook. I am the Alpha Prime, I am. You are nothing, said. Your empire is gone, your fleet is destroyed. Your species will learn what it means to be conquered just as you taught so many others. He turned his back on and walked away, the pack followed. Behind them, the throne room filled with rebels and freed slaves, all looking at the fallen Alpha, all remembering what he had done to them. Did not look back, he did not need to see what happened next. He walked out of the palace and into the light. Around him, the pack stood together, looking at the sky, looking at the future. They had been children once, crying, scared, alone on a frozen moon. Now they were something else, something the galaxy would never forget. They were the cubs who came back. They were the pack. And they had wons.